This is a journey into the dark heart of Colombia. This quite tranquil river leads to very, very dangerous country, the place where most of the world's cocaine is grown. Here, deep in the equatorial jungle, are to be found hundreds and hundreds of tiny coca farms.
How are you? Nice to meet you.
For thousands of peasant farmers like Jairo Rodriguez, coca is their lifeblood. It's a passport to a better life. It's on their hidden mountainside plots that they grow this small, innocuous-looking plant.
Why do you grow this stuff?
The other crops, plantain, yuca, maize, rice, don't give me anything. I don't have any other alternative. At least my family and I can live off this.
It's coca from here that eventually finds its way to Australia. These top leaves are too young. They're not ready for picking. These older, darker green ones are. And it's quite legal to chew the stuff here in Colombia. The locals have done it for eons. The effect is nothing more than a weak cup of coffee.
But down the track, it's a very different story. It's Western demand, of course, that fuels Colombia's drug trade. Half a world away in Australia, and another record haul of cocaine. Last year, $100 million worth of the illicit powder was seized by customs agents and police.
It's not only the enemy of Colombia. It's the enemy of Australia, it's the enemy of Asia, it's the enemy of Europe, it's the enemy of the United States.
2 years ago, there was a changing of the guard in Colombia. The new and corruptible president, Andrés Pastrana, boldly promised the world he would end Colombia's civil unrest and stem the flow of drugs. So far, he has failed.
Colombia now is confronting violence, murder, massacres, because all of these, or most of them, are financed by narcotics.
To my mind, it seems an impossible task to wipe them out.
If we don't have the help of the world, it's impossible. We are confronting, fighting the number one business and the number one criminal organization of the world.
The cost of this drug war has been staggering, and it's turned Colombia into possibly the most dangerous place on earth. It all starts here. The process that transforms this relatively benign leaf into addictive cocaine begins in the coca farmer's own makeshift laboratory. The slashed and crushed leaf is mixed with everyday chemicals, including cement, a diesel-petrol mix, and battery acid. The process produces a paste which is then sold to the traffickers for further refining.
Paste? How much a kilo for paste?
I get about 900 American dollars for each kilogram of paste.
The chap that I met was grossing just on $5,500 US dollars a year. It's about 10,000 Australian dollars.
A year.
Now, a year.
That's right.
Gross. Now, that's not a bad income in this part of the world. I don't believe you can match it.
Yes, you could match it, for example, with palm oil. Palm oil could give you double of that a year for a peasant.
But it's not the peasants who control the trade. It's the traffickers, and palm oil is not going to make them billions. Cocaine has made the drug kingpins rich, ruthless, and very, very ingenious. This part of this story you're going to find very, very difficult to believe.
Here, we're 900 kilometres from the coast and 2,500 metres above sea level. A roadside Texaco station. So what? But let me take you behind. It's a ramshackle factory of sorts, but recently built. And inside, a submarine. I mean, do you believe me? A submarine.
A rail line exists immediately adjacent, and apparently the plan was to take the sub by train to the coast. Then it was to be used to smuggle cocaine to the US and beyond.
We know that we have problems, but at the same time, I think that 99% of this country is honest people, hardworking people, and we know that we could go and have a different country in a few years.
But few people share the president's confidence. While it's true that notorious drug barons like Pablo Escobar have been captured or killed, the business is still flourishing. And what's worse, much worse, a ruthless army of Marxist revolutionaries has turned to the drug trade to finance their war against the government. FARC, the Colombian Armed Revolutionary Front, is the last communist guerrilla group left in the world. Nowadays they're drug-funded, they're vicious, and they're tearing Colombia apart, as this local news footage shows. These killers draw their main income from drugs, but they also dabble in extortion, or what Commandant Simon Trinidad, a banker formerly with Chase Manhattan, quaintly calls a tax.
The government taxes big business to fight us, so we also tax big business, which includes drug traffickers, to support our revolutionary war.
And if they don't, you'll shoot them.
No, of course not. We don't shoot them. We retain them until they pay.
By retention, do you really mean kidnapping?
If you want to call it that, yes. Sí.
Hola, flaquito. Aquí de nuevo saludándote y expresando.
Sé que Dios no dejaría que una persona como tú.
La chiqui te pregunta mucho. Dice que
FARC has made Colombia the kidnap capital of the world. Here, families of hostages send out messages on a radio show in the forlorn hope that their loved ones may be allowed to listen to them.
Why were your parents singled out for kidnapping?
I don't know. My father lives off his salary and just a couple of grandparents.
How much ransom are they asking for?
800 million pesos, which is about 400,000 American dollars. And we don't have that kind of money.
You realize how much suffering you're causing?
Sí.
Are you proud of that?
Absolutamente no. Absolutely not. We are not proud of it. But it is a reality in Colombia.
Commandant Trinidad's troops look harmless enough, but these brothers and sisters of the revolution are well-trained and well-armed killers. Kidnapping and cocaine have turned them into a formidable army, a force strong enough to win this extraordinary concession from President Pastrana last year. A grant of land the size of Switzerland to lure them into peace talks. They took the land, but kept on fighting. Their paramilitary opponents on the right look similar, but if anything, they're even more ruthless. They style themselves self-defense units for Colombia's rich and landed. And that they might have been once. But now they too are simply murdering, extorting, drug trafficking thugs, and they're guilty of the most heinous crimes.
These men are behaving like animals. I mean, playing football with the severed heads of their victims.
The remedy is worse than the illness. Many people think that promoting these private armies, these vigilantes, will solve the problems, and at the end that's going to be more difficult.
When the paramilitaries took me to a secret training camp, they generously laid on a small arms show. But when it came to chatter rather than clatter, they were, well, economical with the truth.
We never kidnap, we never extort, we never blackmail, and we never attack the civilian population indiscriminately.
Yes, but is it not sometimes necessary for you to use strong-arm methods?
Given that we are an armed group, it is inevitable that we kill people and that some of us are killed as well.
As the drug and turf wars rage, Colombians live in a state of constant fear. Those rich enough buy protection, like the latest in bulletproof clothing.
We have leather jackets, jean jackets,
and
t-shirt.
A t-shirt.
It's only 1 kilo.
Can you show me how they work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oídos!
Now that was a real .38 bullet being fired into the jacket, albeit with a double layer of protection. Now here it is again in slow motion.
How do you feel?
For the poor peasants who have been caught in the crossfire of this dirty war, there is no such protection. Constantly terrorized by both left and right-wing bandits, millions have fled the countryside only to live in wretched poverty on the outskirts of Bogota, the capital, and the other big cities. Almost everyone has their own tragic story.
The rebels came to my small town and killed my wife. They put a gun to her head and shot her.
Why did they kill your wife?
I ask myself the same question. We're humble farmers that live off the land, nothing more. And if one group comes to our farm and asks for food, the other group immediately thinks we're siding with them and they take revenge.
Colombians are sick and tired of living in fear, but there's no end to their suffering in sight. It is the West's voracious appetite for cocaine that fuels the drug war. But given that we do so little to stem the demand, President Pastrana needs all the help he can get if he's to stem the supply.
We want a country with freedom and liberty and without drugs, with social justice, with development. Why don't we work together, unite our efforts, unite our money, and try to get rid of this common enemy that is narco trafficking?
Why do you grow this stuff?
The other crops, plantain, yuca, maize, rice, don't give me anything. I don't have any other alternative. At least my family and I can live off this.
It's coca from here that eventually finds its way.
This is a journey into the dark heart of Colombia. This quite tranquil river leads to very, very dangerous country, the place where most of the world's cocaine is grown. Here, deep in the equatorial jungle, are to be found hundreds and hundreds of tiny coca farms.
How are you? Nice to meet you.
For thousands of peasant farmers like Jairo Rodriguez, coca is their lifeblood. It's a passport to a better life. It's on their hidden mountainside plots that they grow this small, innocuous-looking plant.